So collinear means the points lie on a straight line. And the way you can check this is you could, in theory, check the slope of these guys, and you could check the slope of these guys, and you could check the slope of these guys. So if you cross-check all of the slopes, you are going to be able to figure out if they're on the same line. They just have to have like the same slope in between them. But it turns out that you don't actually have to cross-check all three. So you could just cross-check two of them, these two, or if you want, like, you could even cross-check these two. It doesn't really matter. So long as you cross-check two of the slopes and they're the same, you're going to have 3 points that are collinear. So you just need to check two of the slopes to see if they are the same. And if they're the same, then they're collinear. Yeah? If these two slopes are parallel, then they are the same. So the first moment of brilliance is realizing that if they are the same, then I can set up an equation and solve. So I can say this is equal to k over 6. And after that, the rest is just algebra. So what I would try and do is get k by itself. And that pesky 6 is in the way. How do I kill a divide by 6? Well, I'm going to multiply both sides by 6. And now k is by itself. And k happens to be 18 over 4, which I am expected to reduce to 9/2. So that is 4.5, but I prefer that you write it as 9/2, unless the question asks you to round to 1 decimal place or something like that. So it is totally possible for k to be a decimal. And if you wanted to check that, you could actually type in your calculator, wait, if k is 4.5 up here, and I divide it by 6, do I get 3/4? And the answer is, yeah, actually you do. You're going to get 0.75, which is the same thing. So you can always verify if it's the same or not. The second question requires an extra layer of brilliance. You have to understand what perpendicular slopes mean. So perpendicular slopes means that the slopes either multiply to -1. So you could set it up like this. K over 6 times 3 over 4 is equal to -1. And you can solve that, and that'll work totally fine for you. But the way I prefer to think about it is if the slopes are perpendicular, then one of them is the negative reciprocal of the other. So there's two ways you could set this up. You could say that 3 over 4 is the negative reciprocal like this, or you could flip the 3 over 4 into -4/3 and leave the k over 6 the way it is. I much prefer this one here because k is in the top, and I like that. So if you are clever about it, you can strategically flip the one that's easier to flip in order to make it easy for you to solve. But these other methods will work. They're just a little bit more difficult algebra-wise. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing to this, which is I'm trying to get k by itself. So I'm going to kill that pesky 6. And I end up with k is equal to -24 over 3, which is 8 in the end. And you can verify if you put in 8 for 6, or 8 for k. Oh, sorry, -8. -8. If you put in -8 for k, you will get the negative reciprocal of this, and it works. For this question, if the slopes are parallel, this is pretty straightforward. We can just set them equal to each other. So k over 3 is equal to -4. Trying to get k by itself, so I will multiply both sides by 3 to kill off that 3. And we have k is -12. Pretty straightforward. For part B, they are perpendicular. There are many ways to set this up, but my favorite way is to flip the -4 because I don't want to flip k into the bottom. So instead of -4 over 1, I'm going to write 1 over 4, and then I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. And then I have k is equal to 3/4. Yeah. So if these two slopes are parallel, then we can set them equal to each other. 3/4 is equal to -6 over k. But at this point, a lot of people had trouble handling how do we handle k in the bottom. The answer is we don't like k in the bottom. We are going to kill k in the bottom by multiplying both sides by k. So then k in the bottom dies. And we have 3k over 4 is equal to negative 6. So then I'm going to try and kill my denominator over here. So I will multiply both sides by 4. 3k is equal to negative 24. Last step, we will divide both sides by 3. And k is equal to negative 8. And if you put negative 8 in here, you will get 3/4. So in theory, I guess you could have guessed and checked. Because if you know that these two fractions are equivalent, you could have said, oh, wait, so if I multiply the top by negative 2 and the bottom by negative 2, then they'll be equivalent, right? Yeah. So that's another way you could reason out to get k is equal to negative 8 without having to do any of this. But you don't know if k is a fraction. And if you don't know if k is a fraction, you have to be able to do it algebraically. For part B, they are perpendicular. And the key to this question in making it as easy as possible for yourself is deciding who to flip to make life easy. I am deciding that I'm going to flip this guy and make him negative because then k will be in the top and life will be very good. So 3 over 4 is equal to positive k over 6. Then all I have to do is multiply both sides by 6. And k is equal to 18 over 4, which is 9 over 2. I've saved myself quite a bit of work by being strategic as to who I flip when I'm asking for the slopes to be perpendicular. So we have a line segment and we know something about the slope. So from yesterday, I can label this x1, y1, x2, y2, and I can use the slope formula to try and come up with a slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I know the slope, but I have to do a little bit of thinking to figure it out because it doesn't say that the slope is this. It says the slope is perpendicular to this. So if we're looking for the true slope that we're looking for, we need to flip this fraction and turn it positive. This is the slope that we want. So we know that this thing is equal to 5/2. So let's continue to solve this. And in the bottom, we're getting negative 6 plus 3. So negative 6 equals 5/2. And then we don't want that negative 6. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 6. Actually, I will show you that in a different color. So you can see that that is the new thing that I did. So that negative 6 is now dead. And we have 5 minus k is equal to negative 30 over 2. And then we can say that 5 minus k is equal to negative 15. So negative 5, negative 5. Those 5s are dead. Negative k is equal to negative 20. So k is equal to 20. In this example, we can set it up the same as we did last time, which is that we can set up using the slope formula, x1, y1, x2, y2, and we can figure out the slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But what do I set that equal to? I need like some kind of slope. If it says that this line is parallel to this line, what does parallel mean? That means they have the same slope. So you also have to know that in y equals mx plus b format, that this here is the slope. And they're not perpendicular, they have the same slope. That means that I can rip off the slope from this line and make it my own over here. So why is the 8 there? It's just there to throw you off. You're expected to understand how to extract that information, that this is the part of the equation that I care about, the clue that's going to help me out. So then we solve. I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 3 to try and get rid of that negative 3 here. Because I'm trying to kill off everything that's around k, right? So that's why I'm trying to kill off that one. So then we have 5 minus k is equal to negative 6 over 3. So 5 minus k is equal to negative 2. I'll subtract 5 from both sides. Negative k is equal to negative 7, and k is equal to 7. That is my answer. If these 3 points are collinear, what is k? So if they are collinear, that means that if you check any 2 or 3 points, they are all going to have the same slope. So if you want to know what k is, you could check the slope of these two first. Find out what the slope is, and then check it against this one. So first I'm going to find the slope. So here's x1, y1, x2, y2. And my slope is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's negative 4 over 12, which is negative 1/3. So now we know what that magic slope is. This is going to be the slope if you check these 2 points or these 2 points or these 2 points. It does not matter at this point if you want to slope between these guys or between these guys. You'll end up with the same thing. But a tip for you to do the least work possible is you want to pick one that's going to be easy. And the one with a 0 is usually the easier one to calculate, and you're less likely to make a mistake. So I'm going to slope with that one. So here's x1, or here's x2, y2. So if I slope with the original one, I'm going to get y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that should equal negative 1/3. So what am I getting? K minus 5 over 3 is equal to negative 1/3. I don't like this 3. I'm going to kill it off. Right? So there. And then we get K minus 5 is equal to negative 3 over 3, which is just negative 1, because actually these guys also cancel. So plus 5, K is equal to 4.